lecture is about chapter 1, Lord of the Flies. Now we are looking at the way the characters are presented to us and the setting in which it is fully described by the narrator. So this lecture is about these two topics: the setting representation and the characters representation. In the first paragraph of chapter 1, we find the direct reference to the damage caused by the airplane crash on the island. All around him, the longest car smashed into the jungle was a bath of heat. In this line, we find two things. The first one, a reference to the damage caused to the island, and the second thing about weather, a bath of heat. It means an indirect revelation about how hot the island is. On the same page, the narrator now refers to the thick jungle with reference to the undergrowth. So the undergrowth at the side of this car was shaken and a multitude of raindrops fell patterning. Again, this is what a rainy island, a reference to weather, is made in this line. Raindrops fell patterning. It means continuous falling of the rain. The same page also shows something very important about the type of island and jungle on which the characters are. When the second boy said, "I can't hardly move with all these creeper things," so it means this is the first time that there are human beings on this island. Why? Because there are no ways, no trodden ways on the island. So that's why this island is an inhabited island. The narrator from time to time tells us about this setting in an indirect way about how wonderful it looks like at the beginning. Later on, we want to compare this scene with something else, a totally different scene. So we find from the beginning that the narrator presents visual images about different types of trees, and he is moving with the characters wherever they are moving. The two boys, I mean here, Ralph and Piggy. He is not telling us something about the island on which the characters are not there. So he uses the characters as if they are camera characters, and as if he is with them wherever they are moving. So he is with them. He is describing the surrounding in which the characters are there. So let's see this description in which the characters are here. Different colors are presented to us. Feather, green feathers. We have fallen trees scattered with decaying coconuts and palm saplings. He is describing the shore where the characters arrived now when they came out of the jungle. And you see that he is decorating the painting of the site where the characters are now trying to see. Behind this was the darkness of the forest proper, so how thick the trees are behind them, and the open space of the scar. The scar, now another reference to the damage caused by the plane, and the word scar here is a metaphor to indicate a wound. So as if he's talking about the island, and the airplane is just like a knife that caused that wound inside the island. We have also other references to colors of the trees and other things on the island. The white surf, a coral reef, blue, dark blue. So you see, these are just like a very beautiful image of the island. Also a reference to other additional colors with different parts of the plants and the shore, when he said that blue of all shades and shadowy green and purple. The beach between the palm terrace and the water was a thin post-save, endless apparently. The full description of this site is important. Why? Because the narrator wants us to imagine the place in which all the events or major events are going to happen at the beginning of the novel, when the other boys are going to arrive. Then a full physical description of the beach introduced to us when the two characters are standing, especially when the narrator said, "Here the beach was interrupted abruptly by the square motif of the landscape. A great platform of pink granite threshed up uncompromisingly through forest and terrace and sand and lagoon to make a raised jetty 4 feet high," and so on. So the narrator here explicates minute details about where the characters are moving. Everything presented to us from chapter 1 about the surroundings of the jungle was a matter of enchantment. So this enchantment was continued when the narrator moves to talk about the platform, which is the most important area on the island, because the other boys are going to meet here, and it is the place of meeting. Beyond the platform there was more enchantment. So this what refers to the idea that everything before that presented to us is also a matter of enchantment. It is attractive to the boys and to the readers. This is asserted when the narrator said some act of God, as if it is a paradise. The idea of enchantment and attractiveness is confirmed when the narrator said, "But the island ran true to form and the incredible pool." Incredible, this adjective indicates that the things the narrator sees are very, very attractive to his eyes. The incredibility of the pool is indicated by the freshness of water. When the narrator said, "Ralph did a surface dive and swam underwater with his eyes open." So this shows how fresh the water of the pool is, that you can see, okay, when someone is diving, whether his eyes are open or shut. So you see the water is not blurred at all. On the island, the storm is also responsible for breaking those high palm trees, as if it is part of the circle of life on the island, in order to make the saplings have the turn to grow up and to make it continue the cycle and the freshness and the greenness of the island. So those fallen trunks are scattered through the jungle everywhere. And of course they make some sort of, or add extra beauty to the purity of nature. Then he sat carefully on a fallen trunk near the little cliff that fronted the lagoon, and the tangled reflections quivered over him. This, okay, reflections described as being tangled. So tangled is a matter of the reflection of those fallen trees, just like they are braids formed around the lagoon and the pool. There is also a repeated reference to the heat and the humidity on the island. Here and there, little breezes crept over the polished waters beneath the haze of heat. When these breezes reached the platform, the palm fronds would whisper. You see, this is not the first one that the narrator refers to the idea of how the island is hot despite it's so attractive. So nature is deceptive in this case. There are of course moments in chapter 1 referred to how disturbance was caused to the quietness, to peace, to silence of the jungle, which is part of the damage brought by the boys to the place. So this time is when Ralph blows through the conch, Let's read the description presented by the narrator. Immediately the thing sounded. Here it refers to the conch. A deep, harsh note boomed under the palms, spread through the intricacies of the forest, and echoed back from the pink granite of the mountain. Clouds of birds rose from the tree tops, and something squealed and ran in the undergrowth. You see, clouds of birds rose from the treetops. It is not their time to fly, it is disturbance to their sleeping time. Something squealed. Even the narrator cannot see what is that thing when it squealed, producing the sound of a cry, and ran in the undergrowth. So everything here, you see a moment of disturbance, disorder brought onto the island. The second time Ralph blows through the conch, more disturbance brought here. The note boomed again, and then at his firmer pressure the note, flicking up an octave, became strident, blur, more penetrating than before. So now it is more and more agonizing pain brought to the island. Piggy was shouting something, his face pleased, his glasses flashed, even that Ralph cannot listen to or cannot hear what Piggy was shouting about. The birds cried. Here the word cry is very important. Why? Because